Welcome to the Cara Michelle Show, where we break out of the matrix together and return heaven to earth. This is a place for the spiritual seekers and leaders, the dreamers and doers, the conscious creators and world changers. You can expect a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but mostly a whole lot of purpose, freedom, and sovereignty. And of course, all things quantum. May this podcast serve you in remembering the truth of who you are, all that you came here to do, and how deeply supported you are in doing it. You are incredibly powerful and your mission is protected. So it's time to dial up your frequency and recalibrate to your higher self and limitless potential. Get ready, because we're about to blast off. A new reality awaits you on the other side. I'll see you there. You're currently in a job or career that doesn't feel aligned to you anymore. It's not sparking your passion or lighting you up each day, and you know you're meant for so much more, but something is stopping you and holding you back. If this sounds like you and you're ready to make a really big change and shift into something that feels really purposeful and meaningful and truly aligned for you, then this episode is for you, because I'm going to be sharing 3 mindset shifts that I made to quit my 9 to 5 and start my dream business. And at that time, I was feeling like stuck at such a crossroads between feeling like I needed the financial security, feeling like I needed to save up money first, like it wasn't the right time, like I wasn't qualified or ready yet. I had all these different stories playing out in my mind, as well as not very much, how can I put it politely, like not very much support from the people around me in my life at that time, which is fine. They just wanted the best for me and wanted me to be safe and supported. And obviously, me taking a leap to become self-employed was like intimidating or scary, but I didn't really feel supported by people around me. And so it was quite intimidating to make the changes that I made to pursue the life that I always wanted. And with that said, the biggest thing that helped me do that was the mindset work. And it went so much deeper than what I'm going to share in today's episode in terms of the hours, like truly hours and hours and hours of subconscious reprogramming work, of different work around my self-image and how I saw myself, which became a huge part of the process after I did quit. But if you're at that point right now where you're like on the edge and you're waiting for a sign, or you're needing some kind of boost and gentle nudge to go after the life that you've always wanted, or the career that you've always wanted, and to get out of the current box or prison, in my instance, that's what it felt like, the prison that you're maybe stuck in, this is going to help you out so much. Before I get into the 3 mindset shifts, this is actually something I teach inside my 3-month program, Thrive. I literally break it down in a day-by-day process so that it's step by step. It's really easy for you to follow, and it creates the long-lasting mindset shifts, the identity and habit shifts that create a long-term lifestyle change, because there's a lot of people out there that are helping with like quick wins, quick fixes, magical pills, the things that we desire because we want this fast hit and this fast change, but it doesn't actually stay. It's not sustainable. And so after a decade of doing this work myself, traveling the world, working with amazing coaches and healers, and really understanding all these different components that support us in not only breaking out of the old identity, but building the confidence, the worthiness, the empowerment to step into the new identity and what I believe is what we're truly here for. Like, your true purpose is something that feels so aligned, and it's something you've always dreamed about. You weren't given those dreams as a taunting carrot on the string of like, hey, let me show you, let me plant these seeds and show you what's possible, but you're never going to achieve them. No, not at all. It's your job and your duty and your purpose, I believe, to go after that and turn those dreams into a reality. And the mindset work is one of the most important components to do that, because if you don't believe in yourself, you're never going to take that step. And if you don't have control over the subconscious programming and the thoughts that are playing out under the scenes that you're not even aware of, you're always going to be a slave to that programming. You're always going to default into playing it safe and staying in your comfort zone, even if you're freaking miserable there and you hate it. But you're like unable to master those thoughts and go after what you really want. So inside this program, I give you the exact science, I would say, breaking it down in the process so that you can create these changes so that you don't have to spend nearly as much time, money, energy, effort figuring it out from scratch like I did. And you can learn more and get some special bonuses, some really exclusive specials in my free masterclass, which is linked in the show notes. And I break down all about the program, who it's for, what you can expect, and some really incredible transformations that took place within those 3 months simply by following the process, by having this framework, a proven framework to plug into and create these changes in your own life. So I hope to see you in the masterclass and get you thriving faster than you think is possible. With that said, let's get into the 3 mindset shifts I made to quit my 9 to 5 and start my dream business, which is something I had dreamed about for a long time. I don't know if I had dreamed about being my own boss. I just really wanted time freedom, money, financial freedom, location freedom. And I was at this job. I had spent a full year traveling the world where I was checking off all my bucket list dreams. I was working with elephants in Sri Lanka, skydiving in Australia, and nannying for the cutest 3 boys in a beach town. That was super fun. And then I was doing my scuba certification in the Philippines, scuba diving there and in Bali, and studying and practicing yoga in Bali, and like all these things that I had always wanted to do. And I'll get into the catalyst for a lot of that in one of these mindset shifts, because it was such a huge part of pursuing my own business as well, and like leaving that security of my current job. But I had come back from that travel, worked with incredible healers, and made some really big strides in my mindset and my life. And then when I came back to Canada after that, was actually when I ended up having my car accident in the winter, which sent me into another spiral of like desperate need for answers and healing, which then sent me to work really hard at my serving job. I worked at golf courses most of my high school and university years, waitressing and driving the beer cart and basically saving up everything I could to then go do this other travel and do my yoga certification, my Reiki certification, meditation teacher training, and pursue more avenues in the Eastern teachings after this car accident. And after India, Sri Lanka again to visit the elephants, a trip to Vietnam with my mom, and I returned back to Canada in the springtime, which I am not a fan of winter, which is why I literally have not had a Canadian winter probably for like 8 years now, I think. It's too cold here, my friend. It's way too cold here. But I got back to Canada and I had no money in my bank account, all these experiences, all this knowledge from my travels, from my healing, and I was struggling to get a job. And it was soul crushing because I felt like I was applying for these things that I was overqualified for, but I still wasn't getting hired. And maybe maybe that's why I wasn't getting hired. That's what my mom told me. But I think she just said that to like make me feel better. So thanks, mom. But I was like devastated because I'm applying to like work at a pet food store and the little, local grocery stores and shelters. And finally, after at least a month of trying to get a job, I got hired at our local rescue shelter for animals, which is great because I love animals, and that was like a path I was considering pursuing further, but it wasn't working with the animals. I was working at the checkout of the retail store, which literally had no traffic ever. So it was tucked away in this little corner. I maybe saw 5 customers each day, maybe. That's being very generous. Most of the time was me spent standing because I don't like sitting. I get uncomfortable if I sit for too long. So I was just standing there behind my desk, staring at the dog toys and treats directly across from me. And I literally just practiced standing meditation for like 8 hours a day, except for when my on-shift manager, he was super funny. He would come hang out with me and he would like meditate with me. Because he'd be like, "Oh, I'm so bored. Like, what are you doing over here?" And I'd be like, I'm either reading another book about animal psychology so that it looks like I'm focused on this job, or I'm zoning out, meditating at this wall. And he's like, "Oh, that's my favorite thing to do here, too." So, needless to say, it was not a very exciting career. And I had no desire to stay in there any longer. I had barely started it, and I remember just feeling so defeated because there was something inside of me being like, Kara, you have so much to give the world, and you're not doing it at this job. You're not fulfilling not only your passions, but like you're not sharing your gifts. So there was a part of me that was like, I've gone through all these experiences with losing Derek, being raped, having the car accident. Also, on the positive end of the spectrum, traveling the world, working with these incredible mentors and with elephants and doing all these things I dreamed about. I have so much value and knowledge and wisdom and love to share. And I'm standing here behind a desk for 8 hours a day meditating at the wall. So, needless to say, even though your girl loves meditating, it wore pretty thin, and it was really hard for me to feel satisfied at that job. And so I would cry to and from work every day. I think that was around the time when The Greatest Showman came out. So I would like drive to work and I would blast that playlist and I would just be crying my eyes out to whatever the song is. Probably one of the first songs that Hugh Jackman sings, where he's like, "Oh, you stumble through your days." That song, I'm not gonna sing it, but I would just like bawl my eyes out as I sang it on the drive to work, and then I'd park my car and wipe up my eyes, try to look like I was not just crying for the last 20 minutes, and then I'd walk into this job, clock in, stand behind this desk, and like I said, meditate, read a book, and eventually I just started researching more travel, or I started writing my first self-love ebook because I was like, at least I can use this time to condense some of my skills and passions for what I actually care about and feel like it's not a waste of time. And if you can relate to this in any way, I want you to realize you're so not alone. Like, as I'm sharing this, I'm thinking of countless clients who came to me in the exact same position where they were at a job and they're like, I feel like I'm here for way, way more than what I'm actually doing. I'm spending my time at work focusing on other things. I can't focus on my job because it's like boring or it's no longer aligned or it no longer excites me. And meanwhile, I'm trying to focus because I feel like I have to, but my mind's over here and I'm wanting to put this time and energy to use and put it towards something that actually fills my cup and leaves me feeling satisfied. So if you can relate, you're not alone. And I think that just is a testament to the education system. But let's not get into that because I'm already talking for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Okay. So the first mindset shift I made in this process was to realize that I had an option with my choice. And you've probably heard the saying before of like, choose your hard, right? In that no path is actually going to be easy. No path is actually going to be perfect. No path is going to come without challenge or struggle or a lot of learning curves. But the question is what are you working towards at the end? And which one feels more worth it? So I remember thinking, okay, I can either continue to tough it out at this job because it really is an easy job. I couldn't complain about that by any means. It was very easy money, even though it was minimum wage. I was getting paid to literally do nothing. So couldn't necessarily complain. But it's like I could either stay here and sit and be stagnant and feel stuck and be in this place that I hate because I'm scared of the potential outcome of taking the leap towards what I want and failing or not being enough or, yeah, embarrassing myself by trying something and it not being the right path. And for me personally, I had pivoted so many times in my life, it became an ongoing joke, which I still have a little bit of bitterness about because it was an ongoing joke with family and friends of like, oh, there goes Kara off doing this thing now. And like, then the next, few months later, it would be like, oh, nope, she didn't do that. She's over here doing this. And like, in all honesty, obviously, again, I know they're coming from love, but it was like that hurt me because I'm super multi passionate and I was trying to find the right path. And if something started to not feel good or I realized, ooh, this is not meant for me, I didn't want to stay there. So you have the opportunity to choose your hard. It's going to be really freaking hard to stay somewhere you hate and tough it out just for a paycheck or whatever the reason is that you're staying there, just to make your family happy, just to abide by society's expectations, just to whatever, make your degree worth it. Or you could choose your hard of taking that leap after something you're passionate about and that actually lights your heart and soul on fire and embracing the hard challenges, the hard moments, the hard learning curves, but knowing that you're working towards something that you love. So I personally had that mindset shift in that moment of like, which one is worse and which one feels like the better option. And I know for myself at that moment in time, I had been through so many traumas, so many heavy experiences, and also so many moments where I realized how powerful I was and how capable I was that I just thought I will be more miserable and it's worse for my mental health, my emotional health, physical health, spiritual health. We could even say it's literally worse for me to stay here than to try something else and fall flat on my face and have to pick myself up a million times, but be working towards something I love. So you have that turning point, I believe, where you realize no path is 100% easy, but some paths are actually going to feel worth it and are going to fulfill that inner calling in your soul. And the second mindset shift I had was that I realized my own happiness benefits everyone. So it's not selfish to choose myself. And this was a programming that went really, really deep in my subconscious because ever since I was little, I had been taught, and it was modeled to me by my parents, that I should be putting other people first and prioritizing everyone else's happiness, everyone else's opinions before doing what actually felt true to me. And I know I hear this all the time from clients where they're like, this isn't even the path that I want to take. This is just what my parents expected of me. And so I'm doing it, but I'm really fucking unhappy in this path. And yet they feel guilty, or they feel ashamed, or they feel afraid of being judged, afraid of the comments or the pushback from their parents. And this could be other family members as well, or friends, or whoever is closest to you. But they feel afraid of the pushback for choosing themselves. And I'll never forget one of my clients, her comment was like, I have lived my whole life for my family, and I want to be the person who does something for herself once in a while. And like this turning point, which was for her changing her career and leaving the degree she had worked so hard for, leaving the six-figure-a-year job she had landed, leaving the path her parents carved out for her and expected of her to start her own clothing business. And she's like, I know that I'm not going to be happy if I keep staying here because I'm already so unhappy in this, that I've got to practice choosing myself. And that came with a lot of deep mindset work for her, as it did for me, around realizing that we're worthy of feeling better, realizing we're worthy of having our own needs met and loving the life that we get to live. I know for me, mini tangent, but I know so many in my audience will relate to this. I grew up seeing my dad sacrifice a lot for his career, and I know so many people who see their parents like going through the motions in jobs just to put food on the table, and bless their hearts for doing that. But we're in a day and age, and they were back then as well, but now we really have so many opportunities where we're in a day and age where it doesn't have to come with sacrifice. So you don't have to stay in something that you absolutely hate in order to receive compensation. There are infinite career paths and possibilities where you can actually do something you love and get paid for it. We live in such an abundant time full of opportunities. And so it truly is about you making that decision to realize, like, I deserve to love what I'm doing each day. I deserve to spend my time on something that excites me and doesn't make me feel bitter or resentful all the time. I'll never forget one of my best friends growing up, and we had a falling out very soon after this conversation because we just clearly couldn't see eye to eye. But I was so stuck in trying to figure out my path. I had already dropped out of university to travel the world, which was very different from what she was doing, and I don't think she really approved of it, but I won't put words in her mouth. She didn't straight up say that. But at one point, I was talking about pathways and a few different desires and like career ideas I had. And her advice was that I should just get a certification, get like a 9 to 5 admin job, and then focus, like get my benefits, get all my things covered, and then I could go travel or volunteer for like 1 week a year on my holidays, and like that could be what I love. And I honestly think I was like, it's like a cartoon where it's like blink, blink, because I was just like, no, That is not at all what I'm here to do on this planet. And it breaks my heart that so many people will settle for that because of the programming and the conditioning that is normalized and that most of society believe in, most of it pushes. The education system, again, teaches us to just get the degree, get the job, get the security, get the benefits, stay in this one place your whole life. And they never talk about doing what you actually love, at least in my experience. They never put emphasis on this is something you're going to spend majority of your life doing. If we break down hours in the day, in the week, in the months, in the year, how much time is spent on career? And yet we're not taught to prioritize what actually fully is exciting to us. And instead we're prioritizing the benefits, or we're just doing what was expected or put on us. And I'm just personally not okay with that. So, taking the mindset shift that you deserve to be happy, your own happiness benefits everyone, your own alignment, like when you are living in alignment to your passion, it hits different, my friend. It's so different. You feel so good and you're like radiating this love and excitement and joy. And maybe it's been a long time since you felt that way, because I know for me at that time, I felt that the most when I was traveling. And then when I came back and had to return to the so-called real world and sit behind a desk, that spark, that zest and passion for life was gone. Like the fire immediately just went out. And that's not how it's meant to be. So, making that mindset shift to realize that it's not selfish to pursue a life that feels good and to create a life that feels good is going to be a massive breakthrough around, like, if this current career is not helping you do that, it's time to flick the switch and pursue the one that does. Which leads me into the mindset shift number 3 that helped me. And this is one that I hope you can't relate to directly, but I hope you can relate and live vicariously through me, which is that life is short and nothing is guaranteed. So why would you waste your time if you know that you're not happy? Why would you waste your time somewhere if you know you're not truly happy there? And I say that I hope you don't know this personally, because this mindset shift came for me from losing Derek and realizing how quickly, like one night he's there, we're texting, everything seems great. I was 18, he was 21, and the next morning I was getting a phone call from my mom that he had passed away, and unexpectedly, like, was not at all on the radar. No reason to even think about that. I always imagined like our lives together and getting old together and sharing our family cabin and him fighting, him and his family and me and my family, and him being the older brother kind of like fighting for more time there, or just like all the things. And all of a sudden, in an instant, all of that was gone. And that was the huge catalyst in regards to not only the travel and the healing, and checking off my bucket list and going after so many of the things I always wanted to do, but it was very strongly in the back of my mind at this particular job where I felt like, even though I have no idea anything about business, even though I've never done formal coaching yet, even though there's all the reasons in the book of why this isn't the right time, or I'm not ready, or I'm not capable, or it might not work. And even though everyone around me is saying, don't do it, stay at that job, tough it out a little bit longer, maybe it'll get better, I don't think you're capable of being your own boss, you don't know anything about business, like all the reasons, everything was stacked against me. But one of the biggest core values or core beliefs because of losing Derek was the realization that truly nothing is ever guaranteed. And so I could pass away the next day. I could have another month. I could have 20 years. I truly don't know. But am I going to spend that precious, valuable time somewhere that I absolutely hate? And am I going to succumb to the pressure of everyone else's thoughts and to the belief that I'm not capable or able to find a way and like learn and figure out how to do business and hire someone to help me do business and become self-sustaining? Am I going to give power to those doubts, or am I going to realize that I deserve to go after what I want and that I deserve to feel good each day and make the most out of my time? There really comes a moment that, like I said, I hope you don't experience personally with a death or a loss or some kind of really traumatic trajectory shifting experience. But you can probably relate in your own life to something like that where you maybe waited and then it felt like the opportunity was gone, or where we've all seen people who did their job until they were 65 and then they retired when they were told they could retire, and within a year or two they had a health issue and passed away. They spent 65 plus years doing what they were told and checking off those boxes and clocking in and out every day, potentially at a job they hated, thinking that afterwards they would have the time to go live their life. And that isn't guaranteed. So please, from the bottom of my heart, maybe, from the, I don't sound super cheesy, from the depths of my soul, like, please really take into account how valuable your life is, how precious your time is, how special and unique your gifts are. And so you were put here on this particular moment in space and time to utilize those and to feel really fucking good every day with what you're doing and to be excited about what you're going after and to not feel like you're wasting your time or like you're stuck in a box uncomfortably squishing and forming yourself to fit in. You deserve so much more than that. And I really hope that this episode, that these things that I've shared can be those loving, gentle reminders for you that there is no such thing as the right time. The right time is now, because now is all you have. So you can pursue a change now in the present moment, or you can wait for a week or 2 weeks to go by and keep pushing it off and keep saying, oh, maybe tomorrow. But those things aren't guaranteed. And so if you're not happy in the meantime, that means the change needs to happen now. And sometimes it's like pulling off the band-aid. Sometimes that's the easiest way to make those abrupt changes, because the longer we sit and think on them, the longer we waffle, there's way more room for doubts to creep in. There's way more room and space for all the fears, all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. And when you just rip the band-aid, it's done. And then you're like, oh, whoa, that was actually easy. That actually worked out. And so from my experience, ignoring everyone's opinions around me and going into work to meet with my manager and to put in my 2 weeks and to just say like, look, I'm sorry, this is not what I was hoping for, not what I was desiring, and I'm going to go after this other path. And I was so scared. I was so intimidated, and I went and did it because I knew that the only way to get that one step closer towards a life of traveling the world, working from my phone, helping clients, reaching as many people as possible, I would only get to step 100 if I took step 1 today. And then I had to take step 2 the next day. And then I figured it out as I went. And I did all the things, which I'll get into in another episode. But please just know that if you're not comfortable, if you're not happy, if you're not satisfied, you have the power within you to change that. And I believe it's your duty to change that as soon as possible so that you can get to the other side, so that you can get to something that feels better. Sometimes it looks like, I need 1 more month or 2 more months or 3 more months at this job so that I can massively bank a bunch of money to then go all in. But that still is a really strong decision, and that still is you honoring your highest timeline. I did that a few years before this job where I wasn't happy in the jobs I was working. I was working 3 different waitressing jobs and actually got harassed at pretty much all of them. It was horrible, but I was making really good money. And for the months throughout the summer, I could work those 3 jobs, put my head down, cancel any social life, any gatherings, any drinking or partying that I did at that time to save everything I possibly could. So a temporary moment of sacrifice to then spend a full year traveling the world and living off $15,000 and doing everything I dreamed about since I was a little girl. So maybe your current turning point is a temporary time limit, but then holding yourself to that and making that decision that now I'm saving up because on this date I'm investing in this mentor or booking that plane ticket or applying for these other jobs and using this current money as the safety net until I get them. Whatever that looks like for you, just make sure you're following your highest alignment, make sure you're following your excitement, and that you're doing what actually feels true to you. So I'm going to leave you there for today, and I hope this was supportive, and I cannot wait to hear from you. Maybe later today, maybe later in the month, whenever your timeline looks. I can't wait to hear the shifts that start to take place from you anchoring in, truly anchoring in what I've shared with you today. Because it might sound simple in theory to be like, oh, make the change, life is short, choose your heart. That might all sound really easy in theory. It's a lot harder to actually execute and honor yourself. So I want to hear the changes that take place after you do that. And I'll be cheering you on energetically as you go after your dream business, your dream career, your dream life, and stop settling where you're not meant to be. So good luck, and we'll see you soon.